Yeah, thank you very much, and welcome everyone to this first ever Timesketch Summit. I'm very, very happy to see that so many have such a big interest in this project. We have had over 200 signups for this summit so far. A lot of them are on the live stream, and a lot of them are here. So welcome. I am really happy to see that. All right, so I want to kick this off with a little bit of history and a little bit of background for both for those who are new to Timesketch, but also for those who have been using it for a while as well, to give you a little bit of kind of context around why we created this project, why this project exists, what challenges we are trying to solve with it. All right, so first off, I am Johan. I'm the original author of Timesketch. I'm a security engineer during my daytime job at Google, where we also developed this open source project. I am on Twitter if you want to follow me there. But more importantly, it's not just me anymore, of course. We are a much bigger team that are developing Timesketch on a daily basis. This is the core team, and we are almost all here. Me, Alex, and Kid are here. Bart is not with us in person because he is in Australia, and hopefully he's asleep now because it's in the middle of the night there. But yeah, so we have a Kitty who is going to give a couple of presentations today. He's in charge of all things API clients and Colab integrations, and we're going to hear a lot about that. Exciting stuff. He's also having one of the workshops later on. So if you're interested in those type of integrations, make sure to join his workshop later on. Alex, you've already met, but Alex is also one of the core developers for Timesketch. Currently, he's working on our Sigma integration that I'm very excited to see happening, and we're going to hear more about that in his lightning talk later on. And then we have Bart, who is coming up to speed with the UI development and making sure that we're going to have the most intuitive UI possible, and help me out writing that as well. And he's also going to give a presentation. His presentation is going to be pre-recorded, again, because he's hopefully asleep right now, but that's going to come up next. So apart from kind of that core group of us, we're all security engineers, by the way. We have over 60 contributors from the community. And this is all you guys, which it's amazing. We have over 60 contributors from GitHub, ranging from smaller fixes, bug fixes, larger features that have been implemented by the community, and also filing bugs and issues. It's very much welcomed. Without that support, this project wouldn't be where it is today. So thank you very much for that. All right, so to get started here, I'm not going to go into detail about all of the features of Timesketch, but I want to kind of let you know what Timesketch is for those who doesn't know. So what is Timesketch? It started out as a tool, but I would actually say that it's a little bit like a platform today. So it's a timeline analysis platform for collaborative analysis of digital forensic timelines. It's centered around exploration and supporting investigations with a lot of data, like millions of events across many timelines. That's the core of the app, and that's what we're going to talk about today. But that's kind of what Timesketch is. You're going to hear more about the individual features later on. So this is what it looks like today. But this talk is actually about history and a little bit of background on where it came from. So it started around 2014. I got this idea, or we were sitting and doing analysis, and I got this idea that I needed a better way, or a more convenient way, to search all of the data that we were collecting in our investigations. And it all started with a tool called Plazo, which is another one of our open source tools and projects. It's up on GitHub. You should definitely take a look at that. It's a super timelining tool that extracts information from file systems, disk images, artifacts from systems, or log files, you name it. It has over 160 parsers, and it produces a lot of valuable information and data in our investigations. Because as we all know, timelines are a very central part of what we do in DFIR in general. So we had this, a bunch of data that we had to handle somehow. And we all know this, right? You output your timelines into a CSV file, and you use various tools on top of that. So you can use your text tools, your Unix tools, you name it. And I did a lot of that, like sed, grep, and awk through these gigantic files that were there that our tools gave us. If you were adventurous, you can even put them in a spreadsheet if you wanted, but that keeps crashing when you get too much data into it, and the search functionality in that is not good either, right? So it got me thinking about, could we do this differently? Could we do something else here? And my first realization was I wanted to have a better way of searching my data. I wanted to be quick, and I wanted to be able to search across all of my different timelines that I have generated in my investigations. So what if you could do this, right? You have this very specific, you see data type windows, EVTX records. Could we do this kind of searches on a time range basis and across all our timelines? That got me thinking, and we started looking at kind of ways of doing this. So to step back a little bit here, so what were we trying to solve? Well, we were a growing team back then, and we were growing both a number of analysts, but also a number of sites. So we are a distributed team. We have a fairly large digital forensics team that we need to collaborate with each other. So when we are handling larger, more complicated cases, we need to be able to work together. So that was kind of the second realization here, right? Searching and making that quick, that was the first one. The second one was we need more collaboration. So in order for us to scale our operations in our team, we needed to collaborate more. And again, timelines are a very central part of what we do in our field of work. So that was kind of the natural way of adding more collaboration so we can work together. I already mentioned that we needed to handle millions of events across many, many timelines in our investigations. So we needed a system to support that. We also needed to share, or we want to share, our investigative knowledge. And what that means is kind of an extension of collaboration here. But what we mean with that is we all are experts in our fields somehow, and we all have different backgrounds, and we have all different expertise. And we need to be able to share that kind of knowledge across the team and in our investigations, so we can reuse it or we can learn from each other. And we want to build that into the tools that we're using as well. So sharing investigative knowledge was one of the kind of important design goals for this system. And then I guess back then it was more of a stretch goal. It was in recent years, and I will talk more about that later, that we added this kind of automated analysis part of the project. But we wanted to be able to do that. So let the machines automate and give us more time as analysts to do actual analysis instead of doing all of these repetitive tasks that we are doing in our investigations, right? Tagging certain events, highlighting certain events, so on and so forth. We wanted to automate that so we can get more time for other things. So those were the kind of the four things that we tried to solve. So how did we do that with Timesketch? On a very kind of overview here, we did it like this, and you will see today in all the demonstrations and all the other presentations, you will see kind of the outcome of that. But we started with trying to find a data store that fit our bill, right? So again, remember that we wanted to do quick search and aggregations and exploration of the data. And we ended up finding Elasticsearch, which kind of fit the bill for us for this use case pretty well. And on top of that, so we kind of solved the search problem. We tried to index our data that we got from Plazo at the time, and Elasticsearch kind of solved some of those kind of search problems for us. So that was a good fit. So when we had that, we went on and built a RESTful web API on top of this, because we wanted to be able to integrate other tools on this data source, but also build interfaces on top of it. So this RESTful web API was focused on integrations in the beginning. We added basic features such as user support, basic access controls, and annotations, enrichments of events. into this web API. That was kind of the first iteration of Timesketch. And when we had that, of course, we needed a way for us analysts to use the tool as well. So we started building a web application on top of this. And that is the UI that you see today and that you use today. It looks differently today. We have rewritten it a couple of times, but it's the main interface for you that you will use the system with. But it was around multi-timeline, multi-user, and multi-case, so kind of a collaborative space where we could enrich these timelines and work with the timelines together. So we were running that for a couple of years and a few years and we're kind of happy. We tried to figure out how to best build a UI and what's the best kind of user experience being around timeline analysis, because it was fairly new. We were running that successfully for a few years, and lately we have been starting to expand on that. So go beyond the web application UI. Of course, this is a RESTful web API, and for whoever here is used to do development, of course, you can use whatever language you want, libraries you want, as long as you can do HTTP requests and authenticator requests. But we have also built a fully featured Python API client that abstracts most of that away for you. So if you're in the Python ecosystem, we have a fully featured API client. Kide will talk more about that in his both his lightning talk and his workshop. But that has opened up a lot of possibilities for us. So imagine that you can do whatever you do in the UI. If you have used Timesketch, you know that you can star events, you can label, you can filter, you can do all sorts of things. Now you can also do that programmatically with this API client. It's fully featured, so everything is in there. And this kind of gave us the possibility to build an integration with notebooks. For those who doesn't know what a notebook is, Colab or Jupyter, for example, it's a interactive programming environment where you can hook this up and connect Timesketch with this API client to your notebooks and do very flexible analysis, research, data science research on top of the data that you have in Timesketch. Again, Kide will talk more about that in his workshop. If you find that interesting, you should go and visit that later on. We have also built a powerful CLI client. I guess that's a little bit of breaking news for this summit. It hasn't been packaged up yet, but the code is there. So we have built a fully featured CLI client as well. So if you want to bridge your Unix environment or Unix command line tools with Timesketch, you can now do that as well very conveniently. So we have built the two last features that I want to mention here before we kind of go into the demonstration part is the distributed analysis framework for automation. So remember that I said that we had a stretch goal in the beginning to automate some of the tasks that we're doing in our timeline analysis. We built that. So a couple of years back, we got the first version of that running. So it's a distributed analysis framework that helps you do programmatically do actions in Timesketch that you would have otherwise had to do manually in the UI. I will talk more about that in my lightning talk later on today, so you will hear more about it. We also have a plugin-based graph framework. So we have realized, and we did that a while ago, that not everything in timelines need to be visualized as a table, like row by row by row. Instead, some of it is actually connected. You can think about lateral movements between systems, login events, etc., etc. We have a plugin-based framework for building graphs out of this and visualizing that in a rich interface in the web UI. And you will see more of that in the demonstration that comes next year as well. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, what we build. I haven't mentioned all of the features, and we will see more of it, but that's kind of what it went from, this realization that we need fast and quick search, and then we built on top of that and built all of these collaborative features and integrations later on. So that's Timesketch history in a nutshell. I'm going to be on the Slack channel if you have any questions after this session.